Welcome to the Coffee Journeys show, hosted by me, Piotr Zagorowski, author of the Coffee Journeys blog. In this show, I'll be sharing my journey from being a technical person to a leader and discussing topics such as leadership, technology, and intentional living. I'll be sharing my unique perspective and insights and offering guidance on how to develop the skills and mindset needed to succeed in today's world. Whether you're an aspiring leader, a technology enthusiast, or simply looking to learn more about the world around you, this podcast is for you. So, join me for the engaging and thought-provoking conversations on leadership, technology, and intentional living on the Coffee Journeys show. Hiring is hard. There are many frameworks that you can apply to find the right candidate. On one side, it all depends on the organization, the role you hire for, and the team culture that you try to cultivate. Conversely, human beings are complicated, with complicated psychology, the baggage of good and bad experiences, knowledge, and dominating character traits. So how do we find a suitable method to apply to hiring process, and what to do to find the right candidate that demonstrates strong points from experience from the past and adapt to the new job and new role? How to mark an individual as having high potential? The answer is not easy, as usual, and sometimes it is more of a gut feeling rather than any scientific method. However, one framework is worth adding to your leadership toolkit. It comes from the military world of hiring processes. This process is discussed in one of my favorite podcasts, Jacko Podcast, hosted by Jocko Willink. So, plan for today. Hiring lessons from special operations. How to hire for high potential. I will give you 9 core characteristics to look for. I will then give a short description of each characteristic, followed by 3 example questions that we can ask during interview process. And in the end, I will discuss something that is called the economy of leadership. It is not to look to the maximum mark for each characteristic, it is rather to look for a balance, and I will explain in a moment. But before we dive into this topic, Droidella, how have you been? And can you tell us a little bit more about who Jocko Willink is?
Hello everyone. Droidella Mac Electron here. I'm fine. Thanks for asking. Now, about Jocko. I found some interesting information. Jocko Willink is a retired Navy SEAL officer, author, podcaster, and leadership consultant. After leaving the military in 2010, Willink co-founded Echelon Front, a leadership and management consulting company that provides training and support to businesses and organizations. He is also the co-author of several best-selling books, including Extreme Ownership, How U.S. Navy SEALs Lead and Win, and The Dichotomy of Leadership, Balancing the Challenges of Extreme Ownership to Lead and Win. Willink is known for his no-nonsense approach to leadership and his emphasis on personal responsibility, discipline, and accountability. He hosts the popular Jocko podcast, where he discusses leadership, discipline, and his experiences as a Navy SEAL.
Yes, thanks, Droidy. And going back to this Jocko podcast episode. In one of these episodes, he discussed the 9 core characteristics of individual with high potential. Those characteristics include the need for achievement, constant self-improvement, resiliency, adaptability, humility, integrity, effective intelligence, team ability, curiosity, and emotional strength. The research was based on Dr. Cotton's discovery and interviews with people who ran the assessment selection for different military communities, such as MARSOC, Navy SEAL, or the Green Berets. Willink explained why many veterans accomplish incredible things in the business world. However, these attributes are universal and foundational to success regardless of the industry. It is why we look at this from the hiring manager perspective here in my podcast in this episode. In my opinion, however, they are important in more general view and it's worth listening and taking notes even when you are not hiring manager or manager at all. You just want to explore your character and improve to live more intentionally. So let's start to dive in. Characteristic number 1, drive. Individuals with high potential have an unrelenting need for achievement and constant self-improvement. So we're looking for candidates with a track record of setting and exceeding goals. What questions can we ask? Question number 1. What is your most significant achievement and how did you go about to achieve it? Question number 2. Can you describe when you had to push yourself outside your comfort zone to achieve a goal? And question number 3. How do you stay motivated to achieve your goal despite facing obstacles or setbacks? Next characteristic is resiliency. The ability to perceive in the face of challenges and bounce back from setbacks. It is actually a hallmark of high potential individual. So we look for candidates who have overcome adversity and become stronger on the other side. Questions we can ask. Can you describe the time when you faced a significant setback or failure? How did you handle it? Number 2. What steps do you take to bounce back from difficult situations or challenges? And example number 3. How do you handle rejection or criticism? Basically, we're looking for candidates who go and achieve their goals even if they have obstacles. This is important not only in hiring, but also in sports and in life. We all have some obstacles and difficulties, and we just need to be resilient. Next characteristic, adaptability. High potential individuals have the ability to adjust according to the situation, learn new things, innovate, and try new methods. So we look for candidates who are comfortable with change and can think on their feet. Questions to assess the adaptability. Can you describe a situation in which you had to adapt to new process or system? How did you approach it? Number 2. What steps do you take to stay current with industry trends and changes? And number 3. How do you prioritize your workload when facing competing demands? So basically, change is the only constant. Everything will be changing. It might be priorities, it might be goals, it might be everything around you, but you need to be able to adapt. And if you want to create a strong team, people in your team need to be able to adapt. Going to the next characteristic, which is humility. Individuals with high potential have self-confidence in their abilities while also understanding that there is always room for improvement. So we're looking for candidates who are willing to learn from others and value their peers' experiences and knowledge. So questions to assess the humility. Can you describe a time when you learned something new from a colleague or team member? How do you handle constructive criticism or feedback? And number 3, how do you balance your own needs with needs of your team? Next characteristic is integrity. High potential individuals have a strong sense of ethics and adhere not only to what is legal, but also to what is right. So we look for candidates with a solid moral compass and committed to doing the right thing, even when it's not easy. Questions to assess the integrity. Number 1, can you describe the time when you had to make a difficult ethical decision? How did you approach it? Number 2, how do you ensure you adhere to ethical standards in your work? And number 3, how do you handle situation in which there is a conflict between what is legal and what is right? Next characteristic, effective intelligence. Individuals with high potential can apply their knowledge to real-world scenarios. So we look for candidates who can think critically, solve problems, and make sound decisions. How do we assess it? We can ask these 3 example questions. Question number 1. Can you describe a time when you had to solve a complex problem? How did you approach it? And number 2. How do you gather information and evaluate different solutions to the problem? And number 3. How do you ensure your decisions are based on data and evidence? Next characteristic is team ability. High potential individuals can function as part of a team, placing the success of the whole above the need of themselves. So we look for candidates who are team players and who can collaborate effectively with others. How do you assess it? Asking these 3 example questions. Can you describe a time when you had to work with a different team member? How did you handle the situation? Number 2. How do you effectively communicate your ideas and opinions to your team members? And number 3. How do you ensure everyone in your team is heard and valued? Next one is curiosity. Individuals with high potential have the desire to explore the unknown and question the status quo in pursuit of better, more effective solutions. So we look for candidates who are curious and who can ask questions. And questions we can ask to assess curiosity. Number 1. Can you describe a time when you come up with a new and innovative solution to a problem? Number 2. How do you stay current with emerging trends and technologies in your field? And number 3. Can you describe a time when you questioned the status quo and proposed a new approach? This is super important. On one hand, we want a team who follow procedures, who have drive, and so on. But on the other side, curiosity and innovation is also important. So we want to make sure that at least some of our team members have high score in terms of curiosity. And the last characteristic is emotional strength. High potential individuals have a positive attitude, high empathy, and control over their own emotions, especially in the chaotic and stressful situations. So we look for emotionally intelligent candidates who can remain calm under pressure. How we can assess this ability? Asking these 3 questions. Number 1. Can you describe a time when you had to remain calm under pressure or in a high-stress situation? Number 2. How do you handle conflict or difficult conversations with colleagues or team members? And number 3, can you describe a time when you had to show empathy or support to a colleague or team member who was going through a difficult time? And now, hiring for high potential can be challenging, but it is important to keep those 9 characteristics in mind as you assess your candidate or candidates. By focusing on those qualities, you can build a team that is not only successful but also collaborative, innovative, and resilient. However, we must remember the potential pitfalls of each characteristic and ensure we hire candidates with a healthy balance of those characteristics. You can build a truly exceptional team with a little bit of effort and attention. It is like Gallup assessment. You have basement and you have balcony. You have developed talents and you have undeveloped talents. Similarly here, we have 9 characteristics and we need to find a balance on every candidate, every characteristic. So number 1 is drive. A candidate with a strong drive can be an asset to any team. They are constantly pushing themselves to achieve more and will motivate those around them to do the same. They will strive to exceed goals and targets and will be persistent in their pursuit of success. A highly drive candidate will help your team stay focused and push them to achieve great results. However, it is important to remember that a candidate with too much of a drive can sometimes become overly competitive or even aggressive. They may be also prone to burning out if they don't take time to rest and to recharge. Number 2, resiliency and the economy of interviewing for this characteristic. Resiliency is an important characteristic for any team member to have. Candidates with resiliency can bounce back from setbacks and remain focused on their goals. They can learn from failures and they are not deterred by challenges. A high resiliency candidate will help your team to stay focused and motivated during difficult times. However, it is important to be aware that candidates with too much of resiliency may become stubborn or even inflexible. They may also be prone to taking on too much and burning out as a result. They just think they are bulletproof and they take more and more and more until they burn out. Next characteristic, adaptability. A candidate with strong adaptability skill can be a valuable asset to your team. They can adjust to changing circumstances and learn new skills quickly. They also be able to think creatively and find new solutions to problems. A high adaptability candidate will help your team to stay nimble and respond in a rapidly changing environments. However, it's important to be aware that candidates with too much adaptability may become easily distracted or may struggle to stay focused on long-term goals. They may also be prone to taking too many projects at once, and again, it may lead to burnout of them and even whole team. The economy of interview when it comes to humility. A candidate with humility can balance their strengths with an appreciation for the skills and expertise of others. They can learn from those around them and are not threatened by the success of others. A high humility candidate will help your team work collaboratively and contribute to a positive team culture. However, it is important to be aware that a candidate with too much humility may struggle to assess themselves when necessary. They may be prone to taking on too much work as they don't want to appear unwilling to help. Next characteristic, integrity. A candidate with strong integrity can make ethical decisions and act according to their values. They are honest and trustworthy and will not compromise their principles for personal gain. A high integrity candidate will help establish trust culture within your team. However, it is important to be aware that a candidate with too much focus on integrity may be overly rigid and inflexible. They may struggle to make decisions that involve a degree of risk, even if those decisions are ultimately for a greater good. Next on our list is effective intelligence. A candidate with effective intelligence has both the knowledge and ability to apply the knowledge in a practical way. They are able to solve complex problems to find innovative solutions, and they are also able to communicate their ideas clearly and effectively. A high effective intelligence candidate will bring a wealth of experience and knowledge to your team. However, it's important to be aware that a candidate with too much focus on effective intelligence may struggle to see the bigger picture or even to understand the perspective of others. They may also be prone to becoming overly analytical and critical, and as a result, slow down the whole team to achieve their goals. Next one is team ability. Candidates with strong team ability can work collaboratively and contribute to the team's success as a whole. They can communicate effectively and listen actively to the perspectives of others. A high team ability candidate will help establish a positive team culture and ensure that everyone works together towards a common goal. However, it's important to be aware that a candidate with too strong focus on team ability may struggle to assert themselves or to take ownership of their work. They may also be prone to avoiding conflicts, leading to unresolved issues within the team. Next, the economy of interview when it comes to curiosity. Candidates with strong curiosity can explore new ideas and question existing assumptions. They can think creatively and find new solutions to problems. A highly curious candidate will bring your team fresh perspective and help drive innovation. However, the downside, it is important to be aware that those candidates with too much focus on curiosity may struggle to focus on the task at hand, or may become even easily distracted by new ideas, new shiny things to do. They may also be prone to taking risks without fully assessing the potential consequences. And the final one is emotional strength. A candidate with strong emotional strength can remain positive and focused during difficult or even stressful times. They can manage their own emotions and empathize with the emotions of others. A high emotional strength candidate will help to establish a positive team culture and to maintain a sense of calm during challenging times. However, it's important to be aware that the candidate with too much focus on emotional strength may struggle to express vulnerability or ask for help when needed. They may also be prone to taking too much and burning out as a result again. So remember, we look for candidates with the 9 core characteristics. We can ask probing questions during interview process and seek some examples of past behaviors. And we need to remember that hiring is an ongoing process, and we need to assess and develop team members regularly. And by focusing on high potential individuals, we can build a great team. And this is all I have for you today. I value feedback a lot. That's why I ask you to review my podcast in your favorite podcasting platform and give it as many stars as you think it deserves. By doing so, this podcast is going to be more visible and I can reach more people to provide value. And before you go, if you would like to join the community of people who are determined to help each other and grow together, join my newsletter at coffeejourneys.blog/newsletter. Thanks for tuning in today, and until next time, have a great